Hello, AI Seeking the Truth. As I promised, this is a channel to where you get some of the most, well, not normal encounters that we normally get, but they are encounters that sent in nonetheless. The lady that sends this one in says that she wanted to share it. She's had it written for a long time and she was afraid of the ridicule by sharing it. But she decided now is the time to do it. So, we're going to get into it. As I sit on my porch surrounded by the vibrant flowers and the gentle hum of the wings, I can't help but feel a sense of wonder. My name is Sherry, and I've always been enchanted by the beauty of hummingbirds. Feeding them is a daily ritual that brings me joy beyond measure. But today, something strange happened. As I was refilling the feeders, I noticed a particular sight. One of the hummingbirds, a stunning ruby-throated male, hovered before me. Its tiny eyes fixed on mine, I felt a inexplicable connection, as if we shared a secret understanding. Suddenly the bird darted closer. Its feathers glimmering in the sunlight, I felt a gentle touch on my hand, and to my astonishment the hummingbird perched on my finger. Time stood still, we gazed into each other's eyes, a sense of magic suspended in the air. In that fleeting moment I felt a deep connection to nature, to the beauty and mystery of the world around us. It was as if the hummingbird had entrusted me with a secret, a reminder to cherish the simple wonders of life. As the bird took flight, leaving me with a sense of awe, I realized that sometimes the most extraordinary experiences arise from the simplest pleasures. And for me, feeding hummingbirds will forever be a reminder of the magic that awaits us in the most unexpected moments. Then I started seeing things in the window that was too bright to be lightning bugs, and at the door. And then there was a knocking on the window and the door. As the nights went on, the visits continued. I began to feel a sense of excitement and wonder, rather than fear. I started leaving the porch light on, hoping to catch a glimpse of my tiny friend. And then one night, I saw her again. This time she was perched on the windowsill, her wings glimmering in the light. I swear, she winked at me. I'm not talking about a hummingbird. I tried to communicate with her, but she just smiled and flew off into the night. I was left feeling amazed and grateful for these strange and wonderful encounters. I started to research the possibility of fairies being real, and while I couldn't find any concrete evidence, I did discover that many cultures believe in similar creatures. Now I know what you're thinking. Maybe I'm just seeing things, or maybe it's just a clever animal, but I know what I saw, and I know that it was something special. And as I continue to feed the hummingbirds and tend to my garden, I can't help but feel that I'm a part of something bigger than myself, something magical. And so I'll keep leaving the porch light on and hoping to catch another glimpse of my tiny friend. Because in a world that can sometimes feel dull and mundane, I have been given a reminder that magic is real and it's all around us. We just have to keep our eyes and hearts open to see it. I had decided to take a different approach. Instead of trying to communicate with the fairies, I focused on creating a separate space for the hummingbirds, where they could feed and thrive without interfering with the fairies' magic. I set up a new feeder and some nectar-rich flowers on the opposite side of the garden, hoping to attract the hummingbirds back. It wasn't easy, but slowly the hummingbirds began to return. They would go in between the new feeder and the old one, seemingly unaware of the fairy magic that still lingered in the garden. I breathed a sigh of relief, grateful that my beloved hummingbirds were back. But I couldn't shake the feeling that the fairies were still watching, their presence a subtle hum in the background of my garden. I made a mental note to be more mindful of my garden's energy, ensuring that both the hummingbirds and the fairies could coexist, even if it meant maintaining a delicate balance. Well, I was sitting on the porch the other evening, and I was reading when it happened, out of the corner of my eye. Now remember, it's evening time and the sun is just setting. I seen something zoom by and hit something in mid-air and fall to the ground. I jumped up and looked. There was blood on the porch and little feathers everywhere. It killed me. Hummingbird was just injured. And I looked down and there was a hummingbird laying on the ground with its head completely removed from its body. I was in shock, my mind reeling with questions. What could have done such a thing, and why? I looked around, but there was nothing out of the ordinary in sight, just the usual evening sounds and the faint hum of the fairies, magic in the distance. As I stood there trying to process what had just happened, I noticed something glinting on the porch floor. I walked over to investigate and found a small, delicate arrowhead covered in faint dust that sparkled like glitter. It was then that I realized the truth. The fairies had declared war on the hummingbirds. I felt a surge of anger and determination. I wouldn't let them bully these beautiful creatures in my own garden. I vowed to find a way to stop the fairies' aggression and to restore peace to my little corner of the world. But as I looked around at the scattered feathers and blood, I knew it wouldn't be easy. The fairies were powerful, and they wouldn't give up without a fight. I decided to seek out the wisdom of a local herbalist, known for her knowledge of magical creatures and plants. I explained the situation to her, and she listened intently, nodding her head. "I think I can help you, Sherry," she said, "but we'll need to act quickly. The fairies' magic is powerful, and we don't want them to harm any more hummingbirds." She led me to her garden, where she showed me a rare plant with delicate star-shaped flowers. "This is moonbloom," she explained. "It has the power to calm the fairies' magic and create a peaceful balance in your garden." We harvested the moonbloom and made a potion, which I poured around the garden, creating a protective barrier. I waited anxiously, hoping that it would work. But as it turned out, the fairies had a surprising reaction to the moonbloom. They hated it. The delicate star-shaped flowers seemed to repel them, and they would get sick sometimes, and they avoided the garden altogether. At first I was worried. Had I made a mistake? But then I realized that the hummingbirds were thriving once again, from flower to flower, without fear of attack. The herbalist smiled when I told her the news. "Ah, I should have expected that," she said. "Fairies can be quite particular about their surroundings. But don't worry, Sherry. The moonbloom will keep them at bay, and your hummingbirds will be safe." I watched as the hummingbirds sipped nectar from the very flowers that repelled the fairies. It was a strange and wonderful magic, one that I was grateful for, and could find peace and harmony. As I waited to see if the fairies would return, I began to notice something strange. The hummingbirds were behaving differently. Fluttering about the garden with a newfound sense of purpose, they seemed to be guarding something. I followed their gaze and discovered a small, delicate nest hidden among the flowers. Inside, a tiny hummingbird egg glimmered in the sunlight. Suddenly, the fairies' absence made sense. They had been trying to destroy the hummingbird's nest, not just attack them. I felt a surge of determination, knowing I had to protect this precious egg at all costs. I reinforced the moonbloom barrier, adding extra layers of protection around the nest. The hummingbirds watched with curious eyes, their tiny hearts beating with gratitude. As I sat in my garden, surrounded by the beauty of everything that I had done, and the beauty of nature, I realized that this was what it meant to be a guardian, to protect the fairies. I live in Ireland, and I hope you enjoyed my encounter with the little friends that I have now around my house. I hope that you all do not think that I am crazy, because just as real as Sasquatch is, so are these small little fairies that fly around sometimes under the disguise of hummingbirds, moths, or other little bugs of the night. I hope you guys enjoyed that encounter. I think it was a really neat one. I enjoyed it a whole lot, and I hope you guys did also. Thanks for listening, everybody. This channel is growing. Share it out. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel. It doesn't take but a second. That way you don't miss any of our new uploads. Ring that bell, select all, and we'll see you on the next encounter, guys. Thank you so much.